Hey, what's going on, freelancers? So today I've got loads of new details about Anthem. This is probably the most amount of information we have received about the game since its unveiling in the summer at E3. Now in this video I will tell you everything new Bioware had to say about the game before analyzing it and giving it my own 2 cents. So if you want to skip around it all, I've included timestamps in the description below. Now before we get into all the information, I'd like to point out that one reason for Brennon and Holmes discussing the game so much recently is because apparently we will be getting another look at the game before spring/summer of 2018. This means that in the next couple of months we should be getting another trailer or more gameplay for the game. This was confirmed by a user on Reddit who conversed with Brennon Holmes. The conversation was as follows. Hey Brennon, I know it's a long shot and you're probably not at liberty to say, but are we going to get any info or another look at the game before spring/summer? Shakes Magic 8-Ball? Outlook good. Is that for spring or for summer? Shakes Magic 8-Ball? Yes. Did you have a good holiday? Waits patiently for 8-Ball. Shakes Magic 8-Ball? You may rely on it. Magic 8-Ball shatters from overuse. So it was nice to have it confirmed by Brennon that we'd be getting another look at the game soon. Okay, so now on to the core part of this video. Brennon Holmes was also very active on another Reddit post where he answered a ton of fan questions regarding the game. The questions involve shared world shooters and the growing trend seen within the genre regarding failures, success, PvP, inventory, and more. Here are the questions and answers from the post. When it comes to Anthem's narration and gameplay mechanics, how significantly is Bioware looking into the failures and success of games such as Destiny and The Division when going through development? Both of the games you list are in the competitive space for Anthem, so yes, we're looking at all aspects of those games, as well as many others. Generally, we look to have mentor games for specific features. We try to learn from what a particular game has done well and what can be improved. One of the more common criticisms of games within this genre, specifically when they include PvP, is that many PvE-centered players feel their experience is hampered due to the need to keep the PvP experience balanced. As an example, some players feel as though the changes made from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, 4v4 PvP, 2 primary weapons, static roles, etc. have made the PvE experience less bombastic and exciting. The same feeling is also true of The Division, where many powerful perks on weapons were nerfed in order to keep the PvP Dark Zone sections balanced. Are these types of player sentiments brought up during discussions at Bioware? If so, has it caused significant shifts in the gameplay approach needed for Anthem? I think that if you're going to have PvP, it's extremely challenging to share the same mechanics and balance with non-PvP game modes. I don't think it's impossible, just very, very hard. While I cannot assume whether or not Anthem will contain a PvP component, I imagine that the game will likely require you to be always online in order to play. Given either case, there will likely be an increased need for urgency in addressing bugs, glitches, and exploits. With Bioware no longer having a dedicated forum, does the team feel as though they'll be able to readily address future complaints and bug problems by relying on existing social sites, such as Reddit and Twitter, for player feedback? This is a great question, and honestly I don't know the answer. Personally, I really miss the old forums. I'm hopeful that we can build new communities together with you folks, but I think we'll only really know the answer after we've given it a shot. When Destiny first released, Bungie stated they were highly surprised at how often players were playing, as well as their desire for content. This likely prompted them to increase their staff count in order to meet the demands of the more content-ravenous parts of their player base. There's a very good chance that if players introduce themselves into Anthem, they may likely exhaust content very quickly. Does Bioware and EA feel they are ready to meet the challenge of providing such an audience with enough content? It depends on what you mean by this. There are a lot of different kinds of content in games like this. People will very rapidly exhaust portions of the game content, and there's not much we can do about that. The real question is, can we renew the experience and keep it fresh so people are still having fun and are engaged in the world? And we're definitely going to try. An interesting story for you about Mass Effect 3. When we shipped the multiplayer component, we were mainly just hoping it wouldn't be terrible. When we got back some of the multiplayer telemetry data, we thought it was a bug. We kept checking over the course of a few days before we really started trusting the data. There are a lot of people playing multiplayer. We had a lot of contingency plans for failure, but not really any for what was basically a surprise success. Based on our experiences and those of our fellow devs in Austin who've been running a live service for quite some time, I think we'll be better prepared for Anthem's launch. But that said, I can't think of any game I've ever shipped that has gone according to plan after launch. Okay, wow. So that was a ton of information about the game. When looking to the first question and answer, about how Anthem would borrow from The Division and Destiny, I think we all know these are Anthem's direct competition. So it's nice to know Bioware is looking into all aspects of those games, and seeing which each one did well, and what all could be improved upon, and adjusting Anthem accordingly. For question 2, I know this was a great point and I'm glad Bioware answered this one. as many players like myself have always thought having to balance PvP and PvE always causes complications. Whether it be in Destiny 2 having weak weapons and powers, along with little variety in the game modes and player counts, or in The Division, where many perks and abilities had to be nerfed to make the Dark Zone more fair. It seems so far that neither Destiny or The Division have been able to find a good balance yet, which raised the question if balance is possible at all. Bioware still hasn't confirmed PvP, but with the confirmation of not using EA's matchmaking patent, and how they believe they might be able to find the PvP and PvE balance, I think it's a safe PvP will for sure be in the game. And Bioware recognizes that PvE and the game itself should not be held back by multiplayer aspects. Moving on to question 3, it seems Bioware doesn't really know if they will be able to keep up with player bugs, glitches, and exploits relying on solely social media, but that they will give it their best shot. They also avoided answering whether or not if the game is always online, but I believe it's safe to assume this will be an always online game, similar to Destiny and The Division. Then again though, with Bioware having mostly been responsible for great single player stories till Anthem, they still could surprise us and have the game be playable offline as well. Okay, now for the last question, which I think is one of the most important parts of a game like this, and a feature that will decide whether or not if Anthem is successful in a week or two after launch. The amount of content that will be available in Anthem. I think they gave a pretty solid answer here. The endgame of a game like this matters greatly in player retention rate and long-term success. So Bioware answered that the game should have lots of content at launch, but there will always be players who exhaust the game of content much quicker than expected. So to combat this, Bioware is going to be focusing on making sure the moment-to-moment gameplay remains fun throughout the entire experience. Some could say this is what made Destiny 1 playable for thousands of hours. That along with long-term grind needed for acquiring powerful endgame weapons and gear. Bungie made it to where Destiny is so incredibly smooth, fluid, and fun to play the entire time. That 30 seconds of fun that Bungie was known for on a constant loop. So I'm glad to hear Bioware is aiming for something similar. Okay, well that ends this Anthem news video. I hope you enjoyed this new load of information about the game as much as I have, as we anxiously look toward the next couple of months to see what Bioware has in store for us next. Are you excited about the game now? Did Bioware address some of your big questions? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all on the next Shepard Gaming video. Keyless Ally.